Two experts in ICF.
Yeah.
Decades of experience. One podcast.
Yeah.
Two hosts with a lot to say.
Look, I cannot sit through a struggle. I gotta get up and hustle. I gotta push through the pain, cause really that's how you build muscle.
Welcome to the Build with ICF podcast with your hosts, Trevor Brown and Heather Herring Brown. Yep, they're a package deal. With over 20 years of ICF installation experience, Trevor can throw down some expertise on sales, marketing, and training. On the other side of the table sits Heather, aka the girl boss. And she's earned the title as the owner of an award-winning ICF construction company, a drafting and design company specializing in ICF. And the numbers? With a master's in accounting, she does that too. Sleeves up, boots on. This is the Build with ICF podcast.
I don't want nothing for free. I'm here to work. Been through the dirt. I've been through the dirt, yeah.
It's been a year of listening to that intro, and I still love it.
I know. Killer.
Yeah. Like, thank you, Jody, so much for creating that for us and taking our idea and just rolling with it.
Dude, he did. He killed it. Shout out to our other podcast co-host.
Yeah.
Jody, Sally with the Wreak Havoc podcast. And hopefully, like I said, we're really hopeful that maybe we get that rolling again too this next year for 2025. But anyway, we got some old episodes you can roll back and listen to if you want to hear us use profanity and get kind of crazy. That's the other podcast to listen to, so it's pretty cool. But episode 38 is our 1 year anniversary episode. So it's been a year. I cannot believe that we've been doing this for a year.
I know. I remember we were sitting up in the office the other day and I asked you, I was like, I think we're coming up on a year, right? Like, we should do a recap episode. Like, we've got to be getting close. And you looked the next day and you're like, oh my gosh, yesterday was the anniversary.
Yeah, like you were
crazy.
You had it figured out. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It has been a wild year too. I mean, like I said, we started the Wreak Havoc podcast 6 years, we did that for like 6 seasons, 6 years. Nowhere near the success that we had off the bat with this. I mean, this first year has been phenomenal. And again, just like I don't remember the episode numbers to look up, I don't remember look up all of our downloads and stuff like that, because it would have been nice to have the stats, but pretty crazy. I mean, we had 2,500 download weeks.
We got that a while ago. Like, that was like halfway through the year, I got notifications of 2,500 downloads.
I was saying, like, right out the gate. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. And then it was 5,000 downloads, on an episode. It was just like we were seeing these kind of, like, I mean, it was nuts, because then we start getting indicators for, or they start sending you stuff on the analytics of it. And you're like, dude, we're literally in the top 10% of podcasts out there by the downloads we're getting. So it's just wild in our, construction industry and business. So,
well, in such a small niche market, I guess,
right.
to have that, it's awesome.
You don't think there's that many of us out there that are wanting to nerd out on ICF stuff. So,
but it proved us right, because this is why we talked about doing this podcast.
100%. And not just all our credit. We did have a lot of people that brought it to our attention and said, hey, you guys, do you like to talk about ICF? You guys have another podcast. Why don't you combine the two? So not totally 100% all of our idea, but definitely motivated us to do it. And I'm just super stoked that we did, because I can't even imagine like the reach that we've had, the people we've met. So kind of what we want to do this episode is kind of go over our year in review, 2024 year in review of how we, have got, what we've seen, how things have changed for us in this last year doing this podcast, and some of the fun stuff we did over the last year. So just a little bit of recap over the 2024 year. So
maybe set some goals for the next year, because you know how much I love to set goals.
You do love goals. That is a big deal. But we look back and we're sitting there going, okay, we started out really, really, basic, but that's how we wanted to do the podcast, right? It was for informational purposes. And I cannot say this enough. I'll say it every episode if I have to, but the people that reach out to us and I get to speak to in person and the DMs and the different things where you're thanking us for what we do, I've told every one of you that means more to me than anything. The fact that you even say that to me, but I've had phone calls this week with people that reached out to us and said, I heard you on the podcast. I have some questions about this. And first and foremost, thank you for what you do. So we love that. And we do this for the people. And I look back at like our very first episodes where we're, just kind of talking about why people do ICF, like, I mean, that's really what we were just trying to do. Like, hey, this is something that we do. This is something we love. And we want to get this out to people, why they love it and, what we love about it. So starting with something as basic as why ICF, and then moving down the line and being able to interview some just amazing guests on the show and go through, everything from starting out with our first guest, Vanessa from ICF Builder Magazine, and talking about that, about the coming into the World of Concrete and the Builder Show and all that stuff, and going into that to, just getting into the different block manufacturers, which was really a big part of what everyone wanted to hear. Was like, okay, why this block manufacturer? What was different about them? So having every manufacturer have that time to speak for themselves. Not us, not me going on there saying, oh, this is what I like about this block, or this.
No, like them coming on and letting us ask questions and really just interview them and put out there why their block, why their product, what they see puts them ahead of others, and why they think, people should use their block. But the thing is like the whole thing comes back to, if you're looking at building with ICF, you're already ahead of the game.
Right.
And that's the cool thing, that all the manufacturers kind of feel the same way.
Yeah, and that was great too. Is like, I mean, all the manufacturers just have such good respect for each other and other people, other products in the industry. It's amazing how many guys came on the show, and you guys can all go back and listen through them and stuff. And there's nobody dogging out somebody else. It's just like, hey man, this is what we do. This is a great industry, and this is why we're different. So it gave a great opportunity to that. We still have some people we were talking about before this episode. There's still some companies we need to get on. 38 episodes in, we thought we'd have everybody knocked out, but just do the scheduling and just hard to contact and different people. We've reached out to every brand out there and asked, hey, do you want to have somebody on here? Some have responded and some haven't. So, we continue to put it out there. If you're listening to this and you haven't been on our podcast, reach on out to me.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you on, because I want every single company to have their say on here and be able to, talk about their product. And so it's just, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create that platform for people to be able to find that. But, and in that, this industry's always been very strongly backed by the DIY community, right? The do-it-yourselfers. And it's controversial. I know there's some people on here that don't like the DIYers. They get really annoyed because they're professionals. They've built a lot, they've done a lot, and they don't like guys going out there. But the fact of the matter is this is an industry that's built on DIY, and this is something that we're very well versed in how to work with DIY people. Some people don't do it as well. I mean, there's going to be out there, but the most downloaded episode we had was the DIY pitfalls episode, people wanting to know, okay, what should I avoid? There's people wanting the information. And I think that spoke for itself in the fact that we got the most calls about that, or the most DMs, we got the most emails, we got the most downloads. Like, people were looking at that episode pretty heavily. And I think that says a lot. I mean, even to the guys that are, anti-DIY, I guess you could say, they want to listen to that. And I think that giving them information via this via this podcast and the suppliers coming on here and professionals in our industry coming on and talking about it is helping that. It's giving them more information.
Yeah. And I think that episode, the DIY pitfalls, is probably what led into our listener questions.
Right.
Because we do get so many, and it's not just DIYers that are sending us questions. We get comments, we get questions for, people wanting to know our opinion of things, both from professionals and DIYers, just because everybody has a different way of doing things. And it's so interesting to go on to different job sites where people are using different blocks and to see the different accessories. And it still happens. Like, it still happens to us. We walk onto a job site and we're like, never thought of doing it that way. That's interesting. Maybe we're not going to do it. Maybe we are. It's interesting. And I think you can learn something from every single job site.
Well, and I think that's the thing we've always said. This is our opinion. This is how we do things. This is not the 100% the right way. It's you get 10 guys in a room, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. I say that on a lot of episodes. You guys have all heard that if you've listened to any episodes. We understand that, and that's why we're giving people a space to come on here and talk about some things. My skin crawl. We could do a rant.
You could
episode.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'd have to mark it explicit because I would not be able to contain my language, I'm sure, if I just went through the stuff that people say on these forums on Facebook groups and stuff. It's It's frustrating, and I try to keep myself out of it just as a professional. I don't like to like go on there and start blasting people, but there's a lot of misinformation or I hate that term too. I got overused, but like there's a lot of guys on there talking about stuff that I just shake my head and go, you know what, you may do that. That's fine. But to give somebody who's a DIYer that's coming on here with no knowledge of your experience, just because you can put a post on a Facebook group doesn't mean that you're an expert. So, you know, when I've got 24 years of doing this, and I'm be the first to admit I make mistakes, and you know I have to correct things, and things are not always perfect in the ICF world. And then people come on there and just make these outlandish claims that, oh, I do this all the time and it works. I'm like, it doesn't. So like, I mean, there's things like that where we've really tried to kind of fish through that and hopefully give people an option to those Facebook groups. And I know the admins on these groups, I know they're trying to police as much as they can, but God, people say some stupid stuff on there, but we're trying to get to that. But the DIY is a lot of why we're doing this episode or doing this podcast, is to really help that out and try to bring the level up a little bit and let them know that the consultation, I mean, that's what I do, that pays the bills. Fortunately, this podcast doesn't pay us anything, it costs us money, but we do consulting, and I go out and I try to consult with these DIY guys. Hey, don't just do it by yourself, bring in somebody that knows what they're looking, to help you.
Yeah. I wish I had the stats, because I know like over this last year, we've talked to a lot of DIYers, and I have in the past as well. But I think this year, in talking with them, not necessarily trying to talk them out of doing it themselves, but just kind of going into what to expect when you're doing it yourself. And this is not your full-time job, so it is not going to be a fast process, just kind of going into all those different things. We actually have converted some of those people to hire a professional and look at, okay, there are parts of it that, yes, you can do. But if you're on a time crunch, if there's different factors involved in it, but then maybe it makes more sense to hire a professional. And I think that's in any industry. It's in stick built. You see people building sheds in their backyard that should not be building stick frame sheds.
Right.
Should not be nailing 2 2x4s together. It's in any industry. And I think the growth of the DIY stuff on like HGTV and those different things has helped, and it has hindered us.
100%.
And the whole purpose of this podcast is just to educate people on our experiences and kind of how we see things. And I think it's just trying to put out there that there's other ways to look at things.
Right. And I'd say that's probably the biggest thing about this recap of what we learned this year. We learned that people, they want answers to questions. I mean, that's like I said, this has been a major focus on what the information, when we're getting messages from people, a lot of it is just needing, hey, listen to your podcast. I heard what you said. I agree with this, and this. What about this? And it's like getting into that. That's why we have the listener question podcast, because we do start to compile a lot of, and I know there's some out there we haven't got to yet, and we have a list. We have a list. We'll get on it. We're going to,
this is not the last episode of the year. We have a few more coming.
No, we're going to pound out a few more before we go on vacation for a few weeks. So we will get some more on.
But that actually leads like to a funny thing from this past year, because we were on a consultation job in Seattle, and we were driving down the freeway headed back to the airport, and the phone rang, and like we answered the phone, which crazy enough we do. So we answered the phone, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but I remember him saying, well, I've been interested in building with ICF, and I like podcasts because I can listen to them when I'm on the road and doing this and that. So I got on there and I looked to see, and what did he say? I Googled.
Yeah, like ICF podcast.
ICF podcast.
Shout out Ben.
Yeah. And he was like, and oh my gosh, here it was, the Build with ICF. It was just so funny. It was a comical moment from this year that like takes us back. And he's a client today.
Yeah, we're working with him right now. So
and we're finalizing his plans and stuff for his ICF house with all sorts of stuff. So
started with a podcast and turned into a relationship and business relationship with somebody that's continuing to work with us, and it's just awesome. And just seeing his dream be realized, and like it's exactly why we did it. Like, I mean, it's a prime example. So, we're excited. Ben's killing it. He's getting close. We're going to be getting that thing up in the ground, in the air. So super stoked. We were talking about it this morning. So, but yeah, it's amazing to see like I said, we're kind of proud parents, I guess, of the podcast, looking at it and looking at what, the feedback we're getting from people, and the people saying, yeah, I'm, getting text messages saying, I was excited. I got in my truck and there was another podcast popped up. I was wondering when it was going to be, like as things got busy in the build season and we had to slow down, like people were freaking out, like, oh, are you still doing it? Are you still doing? Yeah, we're just working,
This year's been
gotta go stack some block to pay for the, keep the lights on.
Yeah. This year has been crazy. And it was a year, probably not the best year for us to launch the podcast with our schedules, because this year, as many of our listeners know, I served as president of our state association. I finished that up in February of 2025. So I'm almost done. But it has been a crazy, crazy year schedule-wise. We've been all over the place.
We've been doing a national thing.
And that's what I was going to say. The national stuff and being on different committees and stuff and councils at the NAHB. It really has, our travel schedule has been. Well,
I'm trying to get it out there. We're on the, Building Systems Council, trying to get the word of ICF out into the National Association of Home Builders. And I recorded the first, our first, an actual
an
webinar.
Intro to ICF.
Intro to ICF webinar that's on nhb.org now for all the membership, 100, almost 200,000 members. Anybody wants to see about ICF, it's now on there and available to them. So we've really kind of pushed hard this year into, spreading the word of our industry and spreading the word of what we're doing. It's been kind of interesting. I think one of the highlights for me was getting, just walking through the world of concrete and getting recognized, and
somebody hearing your voice and chasing, literally we are talking, having a conversation, just the two of us, getting ready to leave the show floor. And all of a sudden somebody hears and they're like, oh my gosh, is that Trevor? Is that the Build with ICF podcast? I thought that you paid somebody to say that.
Yeah. I did too. It was funny. And then it happened multiple times. It's just standing in a booth or something and somebody's like, hey, I know you guys are Built ICF podcast. Kind of crazy. You're just these are the stupid little things that we think we're sitting here right now in our home office in McCall, Idaho.
It's snowing outside.
It's 5,000 feet, up here in the boondocks, and recording a podcast that people listen to all over the world. We had people reach out to us from New Zealand. That was just super cool. We've had downloads, in Germany. We've had actually quite a few over in Europe, different spots in Europe that we can see where the downloads come from, but people reaching out to us from all over, I don't know, like I said, gives you chills, because you're just it's to us, it's just us sitting in a studio talking about our what we do, and it's
having a conversation.
Right, just having a conversation about what we do, and it's been so cool to just kind of witness that. So those are kind of the high points for me, where I'm sitting here looking and going, who would have thought that we'd threw this out there? I don't know if anyone's going to download one episode, let alone tens of thousands of episodes downloaded. And for me too, another big thing is, after this many years of doing it, getting to interview some of my heroes in this industry, the Randy Daniels, the Mike Dalzells,
the Paul
Camozzi, the Cameron Wares. These guys are just legends, in the industry that we had the opportunity, that we just did. Andy Lennox, we're all these guys, everybody out there, Micah, just shout out to all these guys, the Matt and Keelan and Jason. I try to remember, we had everybody from, Superform guys, there's just so many guys that have been on, that are really people I've looked up to in the industry, and that are just really, really big players in this industry, and they continue to do what they do. But I go back and Randy Daniels was Randy, and between Dalzell and Randy Daniels, they basically, and Mike Kanawha, these guys back when I very first started were all right, here, we'll show you, they showed me the ropes, Mike Dalzell drove me around Bend, Oregon, and looked at, all these, went around these job sites and this old mill where they kept everything in, and just crazy stories to think it was back that far in my life. And now we're, interviewing these guys and getting their information out to other people. It's just kind of really fun and just an honor to be able to bring that up with everybody and kind of pass that on. And
it's a cool history because it's like it's so cool to listen to like where you guys started in the ICF industry and where it is now and the trajectory that is taken, like you guys refer to it as the hockey stick.
Yeah.
And so it's just been very interesting to have those conversations and go over like everybody's past and what, where they started with which block company and how that transformed and what they did. And just, it's a huge learning curve and just super cool to be able to pass that information along to other people to where they can kind of shortcut that learning curve a little bit.
Well, it just says a lot about our industry. I mean, we're talking about, all these names I'm naming, a lot of, all work at different companies.
Yeah.
We're competitors, technically.
Technically,
right?
yes, but
and we all respect and love each other, and like everybody just wants the customer to get the best project, the best house, the best commercial building. We just want their project to go good. We want to educate them on our industry. We know we just don't want you to build with firewood. We don't need you building with kindling or sticks. Like let's build with ICF. It's the best way to build, and you get these guys together and you put us all in a room and we respect each other. We all want to sell our block over the other guy's block because we like money and vacations.
Yeah. But speaking of putting
and surfing, if you're Randy, but like I just want like these guys, like these, we all just want the best for our customers, and that's what has continued to stay the truth in all the years I've been doing this. This has continued to be. We all want what's best for the customer to build with ICF and to have a successful feeling, a successful experience with it, and walk away knowing that they're happy and satisfied that they chose to go with ICF.
Yeah. And going back to like highlights from the year. So one of the ones that I consistently think of when we talk about highlights is when we thought it would be like this great idea to record from the showroom floor there at World of Concrete. And granted, it went really, really well. But while we're getting set up and we're doing all of this stuff, I think our first recording was with Chad Hiller. And I can't remember if it was Plumwall or MST Bar, which one we recorded with him first. But his Plumwall booth was right next to like, I don't know, some like really loud drills and I don't even know what you call them, the like ratcheting drills and stuff. But it was insanely loud. And we're thinking, well, this might be kind of cool. We're going to hear all of this stuff and the commotion of the showroom floor, the excitement in the podcast. And we've got like this little piece of paper that says we're recording and, we're holding microphones and we've got our whole setup there and we're doing all this and we get it all recorded. And then when we go and we listen back to it right before we posted it, we were like, you can't hear anything.
These stupid microphones, this stupid
board.
This Rodecaster board is too good.
It canceled out all of the background noise, like 99% of it. It was so crazy.
Yeah, go back and listen to our episode about MST or Plumwall. We were doing that from a loud World of Concrete floor. People were running impact wrenches around us. Like it was crazy. Shout out to the Rodecaster Pro 2 now. This board is amazing what it does and the microphone. I mean, just crazy between the microphones and the board. Yeah, that was kind of funny because we were so stoked to have this like cool vibe of like, hey, we're coming to you live from the and then it sounds like we're lying. It sounds like we were just standing in the studio.
So crazy, but so fun. And shout out to Chad for being a good sport because it was weird to be, he's in the booth and he did have a couple other guys in there with him. But as we're recording, obviously people are drawn to when they see recording, devices up and you got microphones and they're, people are recording us and stuff. And so it was very distracting for him at times for, as we're doing the recording. So shout out to Chad. He did a really good job. We put him on the spot and he was not prepared for us.
But it was good. It turned out good. And it's crazy. Like and again, another guy, Chad, just legend in the industry. He's been doing it a long time. We met him a long time ago, just full of shout outs and thank yous to the people that came on the podcast this year, knowing this was a new podcast, not, just kind of not knowing what to expect, Alfonso, just like literally probably one of the top educators in the ICF industry. He just goes out there and hammers it, for Fox and for everybody in the industry. But like this guy he's spreading the word. He's putting people in the seats. Like that guy, just continue to watch him on social media, just filling rooms with people that want to get educated. And that's really what, we need in this industry is we need more educated installers and people, educated about what the insulated concrete form industry is. And I mean, he's the top of the top. I mean, he's the guy filling rooms. And so shout out Alfonso. We appreciate you and appreciate you coming on the podcast because that's what's going to drive sales. Everybody in the ICF industry should be thankful for guys, like Alfonso. I know Harvey from Superform. He's another big, he listens and Harvey's another guy out there just beating the streets and training people. There's just a lot of people out there that are really trying to do that and spread the word about our industry. So it's really, really cool to get those guys, on here and out in the ICF world training and getting it done. So,
well, and I think, like kind of to start wrapping up this wrap up podcast, we really would not have gotten the listeners that we got from the beginning and the word would not have spread had we not had Vanessa from ICF Builder Magazine on the podcast with us. We are contributors to the magazine. We advertise in there. We write for the magazine, but bringing her on and interviewing her and them putting us on their website was just a huge thing for us. And we really do appreciate that. So one of the biggest shout outs goes to ICF Builder Magazine and Vanessa.
Craig and Vanessa, thank you so much for putting this out there and getting it spread on your website because we definitely do see where they're coming from. And then we do get a lot of downloads coming over from that website. So super cool. We've got, some of their other people that we want to, Hulk coming on, Hulk, for waterproofing. We've had a lot of different waterproofing questions. That's been one of the biggest ones. With David coming on from MST Bar with Helix, we had Helix on.
Yep.
These are all questions that people were asking about and they kept coming on and asking us, okay, when are you going to do that? When are you going to do that? And we kept telling everybody like, okay, just give us a list of what you want. And it was funny because you keep seeing these come up and come up and come up. And we had talked to Erica from Helix about being on the podcast before we started the podcast, right? I mean, she was one of the first people we talked to. And it was funny how it kept coming up. Like, are you guys going to talk to Helix? Are you going to talk to Helix? And so really interesting. It was good just to see what people wanted to hear and then getting it out and watching it get downloaded. Like, it was just awesome. So all in all, like I said, not a very informational podcast. I'm sorry, but this is a thank you. This is a thank you podcast, and it literally is our appreciation to our listeners. Hopefully, a little bit of a recap maybe makes you want to go back and listen to a couple of those episodes again. If you haven't listened to them, listen to them for the first time. But just really happy with all of our episodes. I feel like we've got 38. Well, I won't count this one. 37 very solid episodes.
We're going to have, I think we'll have 40 before the end of the year. We'll have 40 episodes.
I think so.
And our goal, like really what we thought, like we're like, okay, can we do one per week? I don't know if we can get one.
Yeah, we just knew with the days, with the holidays and different things, I didn't think we were going to get to 52.
We didn't think, but we got to, if we get to 40, we'll be at 40 this year.
Yeah.
40 episodes this year. So then my goal, I would like us to get to 52 next year. We will work harder to get
thanks
people.
For putting the pressure on.
You're welcome. But you got to put the pressure on if you're going to grow. So
gotta have goals.
You gotta have goals. But I think we could do a better job at scheduling. And this year, as soon as I'm done with my presidency in February, like I think I'm done. It's the week of Valentine's Day. It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'm done with being the president of the state association. So we can start scheduling and booking stuff out in between going to World of Concrete, Builder Show, and doing all these other things. But I think we can do it. That's the goal, 52.
Well, at least World of Concrete and Builder Show are spaced out like a month this year, so we've got some time in between to come home.
But we're taking our whole crew to both. This is going to be fun. Well, I won't be at World of Concrete. I will miss you all. I will be in Coeur d'Alene doing new president installation dinner. So I will miss y'all there. But if you're at Builder Show, we'll see you there.
Yeah. Shout out to, again, the ICF Builder Magazine and their awards ceremony. The Registration is open for that if you want to go on and get registered, because it does
And for
sell
World of
out. And it
Concrete.
does sell out fast. And World of Concrete, get your tickets on that. If you guys reach out to us, I mean, we're going to be bouncing around. Like I said, I'll have me and our whole crew running around there, minus Heather. So I might need some supervision.
You're gonna need help.
I'm gonna need help.
You might need some drinks.
If anybody needs to come and supervise me, since the boss lady won't be there. But yeah, anybody just reach out. Let's try to get together. We're going to be making kind of some appearances in a lot of different booths and stuff that have asked us to stop by and hang out for a little bit. So we're going to be hanging. I'm definitely going to try to be active on Instagram during that time frame. So like anybody's following us at the @buildwithicf on Instagram, I'm going to try to keep everybody updated of kind of what booths we're going to be in and where we're moving around, because I did make some commitments to hang out in some booths for a while. So we will get that done. But yeah, in interim, thank you. This is just a big thank you episode to everybody. Thank you for the downloads. Thank you for following us. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for the questions. Yeah, thank you for sharing with other people that we got a lot of people who said, yeah, I was interested in ICF and my friend told me to listen to your podcast. So that's how we grow. I mean, we don't pay for any advertising. We don't put any money into this as far as getting it marketed. So every little bit helps when you're just passing this on to people and spreading the word for us. And anybody that's listening wants, I know we've got industry professionals listening. If you've got suggestions of people who should be on here, if you want to be on here, if you're part of one of the brands we haven't spoken to, don't be afraid. Please call us. It's really easy. We can do it over the internet, and we can interview. It's just like a Zoom call. It's really easy, and we're pretty low key. It's nothing too terribly stressful. No, so
it's just having,
and it's not live. I have to remind people it's not live.
I know
we record it. We can edit it. We don't usually edit it, but we can edit it if we have to. So don't be intimidated. If you want to be on the show, reach out to us. We'd love to get some episodes lined up for 2025. But yeah, take a look. Reach out to us, info@buildwithicf.com.
@buildwithicf on all the socials.
All the socials. So
got everything up. If you want some merch, we do have some free merch that we need to send out, because we did get tagged in some stuff from what was it? It was Harvey and
Jason
and
Snyder.
Jason, yeah, Superform. So we've got some shirts. Maybe we'll just take them to World of Concrete for them.
So if you're listening to this, guys, this will be the test. If you're listening, I'm not gonna text them. I'm gonna see if they listen to this episode. Send me your shirt size. Send me a WhatsApp with your shirt size on it. And
otherwise, you're going to get a schmedium.
I'm going to send a schmedium to you. This would be hilarious. No, post us up. If you guys tag us in, tag us that you're listening to the Build with ICF podcast. Give us a little shout out and a photo on Instagram or on social media, and we'll get you some merch. So, yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. Everything.
Just a huge thank you.
The usual, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everything, guys. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. So we do appreciate it, and I would say that we just keep it coming. Tell us what you guys want to hear, and we're going to keep it coming. If you guys like it and you like what we're doing, let us know, and we will continue to put it out for you. So we do that. We don't usually drink on this on this podcast. We do on the other podcast. We do on the other podcast,
but we normally record this one during business hours. So.
And in the morning, so we usually don't. But it's the evening time when we're doing it, and we're celebrating our 1 year. So cheers, and thank you for a year of being my co-host.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, guys, have a great evening. We'll see you next time.